Look, a new splash screen with this cool person. Well, great thing about Adobe products, they are updated frequently now, so frequently that videos that I did 3 months ago are not out of date from technique wise, but a little interface wise. And usually, Adobe doesn't change the interface on After Effects. It's been the same interface for like 10 years or so. They decided it's something new, so I'm taking this opportunity just to go over a brief introduction to After Effects again. And as I mentioned, techniques in After Effects have remained the same for many years. And so this means even though there's a new interface, you can go out on the web to YouTube or wherever you get your After Effects information, watch the video, and still get wonderful tips and tricks and watch techniques happen. Here I'm just going to go over the basics of After Effects. So this way you'll feel comfortable seeing an older video, which older in this case is 2 or 3 months ago, that might have a slightly different interface on it. So don't worry about interfaces, focus in on techniques. You'll see these two buttons and you can click on New Composition or New Composition for Footage. We're going to be doing New Compositions here, which creates a whole new document. You also could go under Composition, New Composition. Clicking this button, you select the composition size. First, I'm going to give it a name. I'm giving you the name of Update. You have presets here. And I'm going to go down to HD TV at 1080, which is 1920 by 1080 at 29.97 frames per second, which gives you 1920 by 1080 square pixels because we're working on computers and our output is for computers. So the aspect ratio is a square pixel. Frame rate, and we'll see more about this later in the semester. Start at what frame? Starting at 0. Duration. Right now the duration is set for 20 seconds. If I just want a 10-second clip, I'll type in the number 10 there. So it's hours, minutes, seconds, tenths of seconds. Background color for the composition. It's a color swatch. You could click it to pick a new color for the composition. I'll leave it as black. And I'll click on OK. There's a composition. To zoom in and zoom out, if you have a wheelie mouse, zoom in and zoom out, however you would zoom normally on your trackpad or with your mouse. You also given the magnifying glass. Here's the toolbar. This is the select tool. Home will bring up previous projects that you were working on. Hand tool will move around the canvas like that. And it's useful when your canvas is tight in and now you're trying to find the edge of your canvas. I think I went a little too tight. There we go. And magnifying glass for zooming in, holding down the Option or Alt key to zoom out. These tools aren't active yet because we haven't created a 3D layer for orbiting, panning, and zooming in and zooming out. This used to be one icon, now it's three, so don't get confused when you just see one icon. When you see one icon in the video, or if you have a slightly older version of After Effects, which would mean, again, 6 months ago, 3 months ago, you would click and then you would see these three icons. Anyway, rotating an object, panning behind, it's also an anchor tool, and I'll show the use of that in a moment. Different shapes, and shapes can also be masked, and we'll see that in an upcoming video in a week or two from now. Pen for drawing out a shape or for masking. Text tool. And these tools will apply for video, and this will apply for puppeting objects, like for creating a character and making it move. Let's create the first shape. Going to click on this, select rectangle. I'll draw a rectangle. That's the pivot. Until I click off, the rectangle is still drawing as a rectangle, and it's only taking up one layer within the layer area. As soon as I click off, I'm going to pick up the select tool to stop creating this shape. If I created another rectangle, it ends up on its own layer down here. I'm going to select this new layer and press the delete key. Rotation. Let me pick up the select tool. When I click on this object, this is the anchor point. Anchor point is the middle of all transformations. If I rotate this object, it's going to rotate around this point, like this. If you wanted this to rotate around maybe this corner, pick up the pan behind anchor point tool, then click and drag that point down here. I have snapping on, and snapping comes on when you pick a tool that can be snapped. And this is snapping. Snapping will help you not just randomly place it somewhere. With snapping on, it's going to seek out the center points, the center of the object, or a corner. And I'll release the snapping there. The tool that's still being used is the pan behind tool. I'm going to put that down. The shortcut for this, and you can see the shortcuts here. The shortcut for selection is the V key, same thing as in Premiere. And now I'm going to rotate this, and it rotates around that pivot point. To create your first animation, going down to the layer, this is your playback head. Open this up by clicking on this triangle. Go to transformation, and I'm going to click on position. This starts the recording of a position key. And there's the dot here, there's the dot in the timeline. I'm going to move forward in time, let's say 2 seconds. And there's 2 seconds out there. I'm now going to pick up the move tool, the V key, and I'll just move this forward, holding down the shift key to constrain it. So now the shape is constrained as I drag it forward, and that's it. I'm going to pull back this playback head to the beginning. Pressing the space bar will preview your animation. Drag the space bar head back, and you could press the space bar again. If you're having trouble with the space bar, if you go off to this right side and either scroll or it's right up there. Shortcut for playing animation, space bar, you could set to something else if you need to. And there's a toggle for that view. If this ever happens to you, just press the tilde key and everything goes back. Tilde makes wherever panel is that selected full screen. Tilde again puts it back. If you press this, play, that's an alternative to pressing the space bar. And the last thing to cover in this overview is how to just preview this area of animation. And you do that by going to whatever frame you want to be at and press the N key for end, but N as in no, don't go any further. And that trims the playback workspace to that area. If you want it smaller, B key will trim the beginning, B for beginning. Now that's my workspace, my preview. And this was a brief overview of After Effects. Watch the other videos that will have a little bit of overlapping information, and we'll get started in building with After Effects shortly.